said a man want to see me.
Alley out back.
Can't come in here. What is he, white? Oh, boy. So what's the score?
We're sending a man that works in an office to pick something up. You are part of a babysitting team watching his family while he does it.
Good morning. Everything is normal, except...
What do you want?
Is that something you'd say? Normal Monday?
I'm gonna shoot you right now.
Can I go home now?
Wait at the house after.
What do you mean after?
Right off of your
What is going on?
What's going on, big guy?
Yeah, what are we doing?
We're following instructions. Are you helping me or are you not helping me?
No.
Thank you. Set up, man.
God called me, offering me $10,000 to turn you in. 15 for the white guy.
Think he's the only one that can make a move? I can make a move, too.
I have the keys. I like to listen to the radio.
I'm gonna shoot you right now.
Organized crime like the mob.
Well, I guess that's the $64,000 question, isn't it?
Knock you off of your feet.
It's been a long day. I'm gonna put this over you so I can relax. Thank you.
You having a good time?
Bang, bang, bang. Knock you off of your feet.
So, how'd it go?
Take you home with me.
I had a little slip up at work.
I don't think that's the end of that. You chickened out? Oh.
I'm gonna shoot you right now.
The problem is you're not smart enough to know how not smart you are, which makes you unpredictable, which makes you untrustworthy.
Why are you doing this, man?
Because I'm going to get what's mine.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna punch you now, sir. I'm punching you. This is going to be a punch.
Boom, boom, boom.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Rock and Roll Ghost Podcast. This week we have a very special guest, somebody you definitely have seen in a lot of things. He's a filmmaker, actor, director, philanthropist. Bill Duke is here with us this week to talk about his role in Steven Soderbergh's HBOMAX movie, No Sudden Move. How are you doing today, Mr. Duke?
Very good, my friend. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you. This is mind-blowing. If I could go back to the kid that saw you first in Action Jackson in 1986 and say I'm going to talk to that guy, I don't think that would have been possible. And, you know, I mean, it was amazing. You know, it was like I saw you in a bunch of things in a row, and then you started directing movies. And I mean, A Rage in Harlem, deep cover. I can't wait to buy on Criterion. I am so excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very special movie, and Hoodlum as well was another one that I saw in the theaters that I really love too. And so yeah, you've got quite a long history of great films behind you. But let's talk a little bit about No Sudden Move. How did you get involved with this project in particular? Did Mr. Soderbergh come to you, or were you looking for a role?
Well, this is the third film that I've done with Steven.
Right.
The Limey, then High Flying Bird, and now this one. So,
I forgot about High Flying Bird. Yeah.
You know, he shot that with 5 iPhone 7 Pluses.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then when they did the dolly shots, they rolled around in a wheelchair. True story.
No, I know. He's gone very unconventional at times.
Brilliant. So really, I was up for the role. My agent talked to Steven, and they gave me the role. I didn't have to audition or anything because he's a great human being also. And working with Don Cheadle and Matt Damon and those guys, it was like a family. Yeah.
So you go way back with Steven. You kind of jolted my memory about The Limey, and man, boy, that is a movie. That is a fantastic film.
I love that.
I've got that on DVD, and I haven't seen that in a while. It's one of those movies like you love so much the first time, you're not sure if you're not that you won't like it again, but it's so special that first time you kind of want to hold on to that memory. Like I haven't seen Memento again because that works out as certain. There's certain films that just special for how they unravel. Yes. Yeah, and that one, that was Terrence Stamp is just amazing.
Yes.
The crime milieu, I mean, is really kind of like a place that you're known for in a lot of ways with respect to your roles and some of your early films, especially. What do you think that is? Just because of people see you in one role and think, okay, well that's him, or is it just a subject you're interested in general?
Well, two things. One, people see me in that way. I'm tall, I'm dark, and to some people I'm either menacing or mysterious. But yeah, I mean, they typecast me, but also I'm attracted to films that, how can I say, they show so-called bad guys. They also reveal their humanity. One of my favorite, and I would say this all the time, television series was Dexter, and I felt shameful watching it.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for a serial killer.
Yes.
But he's killing people worse than him. So
right.
I think that was a brilliant concept. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, there's so much to explore because, so many people get involved in crime that aren't necessarily bad people. They just make poor decisions sometimes, or they just get swept along in it. Some people are that bad, and they're in it because they like it.
Oh no, many times they're desperate.
Yes. That's the key. How did you? What did you think of the character of Aldrich Watkins when you first read it, and how did you decide to play him? I mean, he's a very smooth, cool guy. He's you don't have a lot to say in it. It's more of a look. In fact, I think you wear shades for most of it.
Yes.
How did you first respond to it, and where did you take it from the script on?
Well, basically, in terms of acting, you work with the writer and you work with the producer, director, and the director for an overall vision of what they're expecting out of this character. And then you take it into your system, so to speak.
Yes.
System digests it as an actor. And then you have to trust. When I teach acting, I tell my students it's like falling into darkness backward. You have to kind of trust your instinct, trust your inner being to move with it. And this character, it was a collaboration between the wardrobe people. I just felt that he was a real OG, and by OG, I mean, if you go back to The Godfather and those people, right? They didn't have to talk too much, and when they did, it was meaningful, and you had to listen because they knew where your kids went to school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So they don't have to scream or shout or be, boisterous or anything. They have true power. And at that time in Detroit, he was the OG, the black OG that had real power that could compete with other gangs. And so there was mutual respect.
Yeah, there's a certain there's an interesting thing about when people have gone back and kind of studied a particular black criminal organizations where, I mean, you have to really think about how different things were back then. Number one, for anybody that wasn't white, number one, but number two, criminals, you had to operate on a different level. I think to be successful, you had to make sure to not make certain waves, perhaps, but I think oftentimes too, when something's relegated to a certain community, some other circumstances or people kind of take a blind eye to it too, as long as you don't start coming over to the wrong side of the tracks or whatever the case may be. So it's fascinating to see this portrayal as somebody that's got his section of Detroit pretty well locked down. And even with somebody like Don Cheadle's character trying to out scheme him, it ain't gonna happen.
Big mistake.
Yes. What was your take on the relationship between your character and Don's in the movie? They obviously at one point had been close.
Yeah, I treated him like a son because he's brilliant. 2, he's ruthless. And 3, he has the courage to be who he really is. I mean, he wants power.
Right.
So I treated him like a son because I saw that maybe he could take over when I left, tired or whatever. But he made a mistake in just a small business reaction. He took advantage of his father, which was me.
Yeah.
And now I have one of 2 choices. I can forgive my son, or I can have my son removed.
Right.
And I'm split in the middle because I'm watching him. And my boys are saying, take him out. I mean, what are you doing? This for that little few $1,000s. I'm saying, wait a minute. You know, maybe there was a reason. Maybe there was. I'm just thinking it through.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot to think about behind what maybe even if isn't there on the page.
Yes, always. That's always the case.
Yeah.
So I'm justifying my behavior that way. But in the end, the father wins and lets him live, puts him through some things, punishments for what he did, for the betrayal. Yeah. But in the end, lets him live because he, again, a bad guy with a human side. Does that make any sense?
No, absolutely. I think that's that's part of the problem is that there is a humanity in everyone, whether depending on what side of the road you're traveling on, I suppose. And it's interesting that of the few people that actually managed to, and I guess I should have said spoilers ahead, but a few of the people that actually managed to get by in this case, besides the big auto executive, Kurt, and is yourself. The Italian mobster doesn't make out so well. The other schemer with Kurt doesn't make out so well. Not too many people make it out of this thing in a good way. So it's kind of amusing to see who's left with something at the end. Yeah. And then, but after all his trouble, Kurt Don's character isn't really he's left with a lot, I guess. He has his life, which, thank God. And a few grand.
In his life.
Yeah.
Lucky.
But it's funny that the auto executive ends up with more than he even put out.
Were you surprised?
Not at all. I thought the change to a different line of thinking, different plot kind of, what was being said later in the film was really interesting, because the first, I'd say 20 or 30 minutes, I was just kind of just grabbed by, I don't know what is happening here. I don't know what's going to happen. Because I knew to expect the unexpected, but not to know what the unexpected would be. I definitely had the opinion that anyone could go at any time. But it starts as a kind of a crime thriller, and then it goes into a case in social, in history, historic behavior. And it's fascinating. I didn't even realize until the end that it was actually based in some part on reality.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But isn't any surprise that the big automakers kept other automakers from, I remember the Coppola movie Tucker, The Man in His Dreams, that was the first time I realized, oh my God, this is like corporations are really ruthless. I think I was 16 at the time, or 17, so I was still young. But yeah, this kind of further brings home the fact that all of this stuff is cutthroat, and who's the real criminal in the end?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that years ago I directed a film called Deep Cover, and it's based on a book. And the author of the book was a drug enforcement agent.
Okay.
And he, in his mind, he said, because he to deal with what they call the mules, the street people that handed the drugs out. And one day he said, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm getting these people arrested, etc. But wait a minute, they're not growing it, they're not manufacturing it,
right?
They're not bringing it into the country." So he went up to his folks that were in charge of him and said those things to them. He says, "I want to go after those people." And they told him to shut up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Shut up.
How does anything get in this country? Somebody must know how it's getting in.
I think so. Profiting from it.
What's that?
Profiting from it.
Yes, absolutely. Or the complex way that our country deals with other countries. I mean, the 80s, just look at and this is part of what I'm sure you were everybody was working on with the Iran-Contra affair, and basically allowing Colombia to traffic in cocaine, the CIA at least, and it's I don't know, however our country is run is just so bizarre.
Great country.
What's that?
Great country, though.
Yes, I still love my country. In a lot of ways, I don't know where else to go if I wanted to go somewhere else.
Either.
It's like, I guess Canada. I mean, but they got their own problems. Yep. New Zealand, maybe. I don't really know. But it's just fascinating to see what we do in the pursuit of other things in this country. I guess it's a complex way of saying it, but let me talk to you a minute about Deep Cover, because that's coming out soon on Criterion, as I mentioned. How did you get approached about the new release, and what did you want to bring to the video release on Criterion for Deep Cover?
Well, I first of all, I just was so appreciative that they were doing it, and then we talked about, in terms of visually, what I had designed, and wanted to make sure that was not featured but understood. If you look at the film closely, you'll see two colors repeated repeatedly, red and green. In terms of backgrounds, backdrops, streets, even when Lawrence Fishburne gets that condo that he has and tells Jeff Goldblum to get his foot off the couch or whatever, if you look at the couch closely, it's red and green. The green stands for money.
Right.
The red stands for blood.
Right.
So I wanted to subliminally put that theme throughout the entire movie, because I don't know if the audience would feel it or not, but that was my intent, to give those two elements.
Yeah. I distinctly remember going to see that movie and just being blown away. And I loved Lawrence at that point. I mean, I'd seen him I'd seen him in Apocalypse Now when I was a kid on ABC or, the edited version or something. And then I ended up becoming a fan of his from other things and other Coppola things. Actually, he did a lot of Coppola work. But Jeff Goldblum in that was absolutely crazy.
Incredible. He's an incredible actor, great people.
Yeah.
You say talented. And he's a collaborator because he and Lawrence just found a synergy together.
Yeah.
And they accepted that with each other, and the film rode on that.
Yeah, yeah. And you've worked with Lawrence a few times, right? At least twice?
Yeah, Hoodlum, Deep Cover. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find working with him? Obviously, you brought him back for Hoodlum so you guys must have gotten along, I would assume.
Oh, yes. He doesn't bring 100. He brings 1,000%.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do the lines. He becomes the character.
Yeah.
And, that's to work with, and so does Jeff.
Yeah.
That kind of talent who are fearless. That's a privilege.
Yeah, yeah. Think back to when you were first trying to break into directing films. You were an actor. What was Rage in Harlem was your first feature, correct?
No, The Killing Floor. The Killing Floor.
Okay.
That was for PBS. That was my first feature I directed.
Okay. I don't think I've seen that one, so I'll have to go check that out.
Matter of fact, it's going to be in. They're giving me a Lifetime Achievement Award in Cannes this year.
Oh.
And they're basing it on The Killing Floor. And Elsa Ross, the producer, has made this happen. So.
Oh, excellent. So you're going to France soon, or are you staying here?
We're making a decision right now.
Okay. Have you gotten vaccinated?
Yes, I got the first vaccination, the first dosage of the Moderna. Side effects. So check that out this coming week.
Okay, good. Very good. Very good. Yes, I've already gotten mine. I got mine a couple months ago. Thank God. I was the last of my family to get them though. So I was, but I feel safe enough. I worry, that who knows if it's enough, but I have ventured out into public life a little bit more since getting them. I actually went on a vacation and everything, but fingers crossed. We're all going to get through this now.
God bless it.
How has the last year been for you? Have you done any kind of other work in the interim?
Yes. Well, being quarantined is, what can I say? There are positives and negatives to it. The positive are the self-examination. It makes you dig into stuff that maybe you had an idea about, but you didn't manifest. So a lot of the ideas that I had, I started manifesting. Two books. One called The Journey, which is a paperback book, and also it's going to be an animated book also.
Okay.
Then Works of the Invisible Man, which is a book of my poetry and writings.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm launching my own network called Unite, YOUNITE, because I'm concerned about the future of our children and what we're leaving them.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, when you look on the news, we're being divided, whether it's politics or COVID or whatever. And the Unite Network really deals with the fact that we should leave our children something better than the debates we're going through now, et cetera. So we report all the good news that's going around in the world.
Yeah, very good. What's that?
A lot of good stuff that's happening that never gets reported. Yes.
Or you're doing a lot of good work. I appreciate that, actually.
Thank you.
What prompted you to get into filmmaking in general, acting, and I guess what led you to going behind the camera after acting for a bit?
Well, I was in a play in junior college. Constance Kuhn, head of the speech and drama department, the Emperor Jones, and I got the bug then. But my parents said that's a bad idea because the only actor at that time with black was Sidney Poitier.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple of others, but that was it. So I tried, doing other things, but the bug kept getting to me. And I auditioned for the School of Arts at BU, and I got in, and Lloyd Richards was my mentor for many years. First black director on Broadway, Raising the Sun. So I acted, and I was on a show called Palmerstown, USA, couples. But then in those days, there was what they call, after that, I didn't work for 2 years. And I was always interested, because I directed my own plays in New York and stuff, but I was always intimidated by I wanted to get into film, but I was intimidated by the cameras, the lights, the size of the crews, all those things. But after Palmerstown, I didn't work for 2 years, so I said I better get over it. And so I applied to the American Film Institute and got in.
Awesome.
AFI gave me all the foundations. I mean, it's one of the greatest schools you can go to because it doesn't teach you just directing, it teaches you the craft of directing, the craft of it, and writing, and editing, and producing. And so I was there for a couple of years, and then when I came out of here, I made a film called The Hero, and it won some awards and stuff, but I couldn't get it. I went to all the studios and networks and said, hey, this is my film. I won some awards. Please let me direct your TV show or a film. And they said, no. The second one, but never the first.
Right.
Prove yourself. So I got depressed. I went away. I did transcendental meditation on a meditation retreat.
Oh, wow.
My agent calls me and says, David Jacobs wants to see you, the producer of Knots Landing. I said, what? So I came back from meditation retreat, David Jacobs' office. It lasted 5 minutes around the interview. And I said, oh, he's just doing this as a gesture or whatever. A week later, my agent calls me and says, David Jacobs wants you to do an episode of Knots Landing.
Wow.
I told everybody I knew, happy. They gave you a week of pre-production and a week to shoot in those days.
Right.
At the end of my week of pre-production, Joel, the producer, came in my office and he says, hey, Bill, great pre-production work. You're going to be great based upon your reels. I said, what reels? So, well, the reel that you turned into the Jacobs, other shows. I said, wait a minute, I just got an AFI. And he says, wait a minute. He goes into David Jacobs' office.
Oh, no.
Jacobs had mixed my box up with somebody else's. That's how I got my first job.
By a mistake.
Is that amazing?
That's great, though.
That means God has a sense of humor, right?
Yes. What are your thoughts and feelings at that time? Do you feel like, I mean, are you both elated that you still have the job, but are you like, you didn't really hire me for my work?
and they tracked me for 3 days to make sure I could do it when I was shooting. I was grateful, I was just grateful to be working on a great show with great people and have the opportunity. And I was one of the first Blacks to be able to do that.
That's great. I mean, the growing up when I did it, I remember, because I grew up on at the south, the next suburb over from the furthest south end of Chicago. So the next mall or theater that wasn't my hometown theater when it was actually open was this place called Evergreen Plaza, and it was in the black neighborhoods. So I got all of my genre knowledge from going to Evergreen, taking the bus up, going over, and I got to see, I don't know how many, I saw, Spike Lee's movies there. I saw Robert Townsend there. I saw a whole bunch of movies, just if it was genre, it was playing at Evergreen. You know what I'm saying? Rarely did they have anything, too highfalutin, I suppose.
Yeah, highfalutin, that's right.
Because
that's a hard time. Highfalutin, wow.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily play there, but if a black filmmaker made a movie, though, it was playing there for the most part, which was great. I got to see a lot of films in that theater and got to kind of know a lot of, more about people in terms of, their craft and who's this and who's that. from that. And it's such a rewarding thing to see how, yes, there's still a long ways to go for non-white filmmakers, but we are starting to now be a little bit more mindful, I guess, of getting other voices in the mix.
Yes, I agree 1,000%. Yes.
I know I don't have much more time with you. Let me just ask you a final question, and I'll let you go. But I really appreciate you taking the time today. It's a true honor, and I got to say, too, and I know it's a cliche at this point, but my God, Predator. All you guys were super jacked in that film. It's like that cast is insane. It is an insanely great cast. So let me just speak the praises of your work in that amazing film. And John McTiernan,
yes, brilliant,
wonderful filmmaker. And I'm sorry that he had his fall from grace, because I would love to see him still making films. But
he's still making films?
I don't think he is. No, I think he's kind of been, pushed to the side after what happened to him. He had some legal issue. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember the details, but
he was brilliant.
Yeah, he made so many great films in a row. I mean, action was forever changed because of what he did.
Mm-hmm.
So my final question is for directing. How much is like being a therapist on set? Meaning you have to know how to talk to people and conjure out of them what you need them to to put forth on screen.
Well, I see directing as a two-part discipline. One is the creative aspect, and that is that you have to collaborate with the writer and the producer to get their vision along with yours of what the movie is going to be. And as you so brilliantly stated, you have to translate that vision to crew, cast, staff. We're talking about a lot of people.
Yeah.
100 sometimes. So they were all on the same page. So that's one part of it. The second part of directing is management. And it's the management of three things: time, people, and money.
Yeah.
Because the studio and network are looking at you because not how much money you're spending every minute, but every second.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is if you can save them money so they can profit, then you become somebody they trust with their vision. And also you can make them back their money. So it's a two-part discipline.
Yes, awesome. Well, Mr. Duke, I thank you for taking the time today. As a reminder, Bill Duke is in Steven Soderbergh's No Sudden Move, which is on HBOMAX now. A very, very good film that you should be checking out. And in addition to his foundation, his books, and whatever else you may be. I'm sure you're busy as hell, no matter what.
Thank God. You want to mention my foundation, DukeMediaFoundation.org. DukeMediaFoundation.org.
DukeMediaFoundation.org.
We teach high school students two things: media literacy, which is how is our industry changing so they can take advantage of those opportunities, and financial literacy, the distinction between the spending of a dollar and the use of a dollar. And so we teach. Check out our website.
Awesome. DukeMediaFoundation.org.
Yes.
I'll include links to everything that you're involved with as well when I post this. This will be up next week. So, I cannot thank you enough again for doing this, Mr. Duke.
Great.
Well, thank you. And congratulations on the honor from Cannes as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. You have a great rest of your day, okay?
All the best, man. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.